Welcome, Irish fans, to this week's edition of the Jack Swarbrick Joe Schmidt Show. On today's show, we'll talk with the second-year head coach of the Notre Dame women's soccer team, a team that is beginning another run in the NCAA tournament as a 3 seed, Teresa Romagnolo. And since the Wake Forest game is also senior day for the Notre Dame football team, we thought we would give Joe Schmidt a little company today and invite another of his teammates who will be running out of the tunnel during pregame ceremonies this weekend, linebacker Jarrett Grace. And now here are your hosts, Joe Schmidt and Jack Swarbrick.
Great to see you, man.
Yeah, great to see you too, Jack.
All right, we should have had you do the intro to see if you could have done Teresa Romagnolo.
I was going to say Teresa Romagnolo. I was working on that for a while before here. I don't want to mess it up when we see Coach in a few minutes here. It was tough. I don't know the accents on different things. So
yeah, well, you handled it perfectly there. So you must have been practicing.
I know. I wanted to ask you before the show started, and I know you're going to probably punch me over the chair here, but you got an interesting thing there on your lapel. I wanted to kind of ask you what was going on with that. You never seemed to warn that before. Are you a Kansas City Royal fan?
So you're right. It was a good week in Pittsburgh, and we'll. This is representative of two things: the danger of making friendly wagers, and so Mike Harity, who runs. A lot of the athlete services for us here at Notre Dame is a big Royals fan, and all my passions go towards the Mets. So Mike was going to have a sign on his door for a week saying, "Let's go Mets," a length of the door, in his office door, so all of you who visit him could see that. I never contemplated that the flip side of the bet, me wearing a lapel pin for a week, would ever come to pass. But there were some managerial decisions made in that series that have caused me to have to wear this lapel pin.
I was going to say, yeah, it was a great series, though. I mean, two fantastic teams. Obviously, not the result that you were looking for. With the Royals coming out, but
I should probably explain my Mets connection.
Yeah. Why the Mets?
Exactly. I was born in Yonkers, New York, and my grandfather took me out of kindergarten and took me down to the Mets' very first home game ever when they opened as a franchise.
No way.
Yeah, so it was in the Polo Grounds, and a bunch of former Dodgers who didn't have the skill to play for the Dodgers anymore comprised the Mets roster, and it just created a connection. It happens at that age in sports, right? Where you develop your passion for teams that stuck with me. So it was a good run for the Mets, but in Game 1 in the 9th inning, when our closer was out there and he one bad pitch tied the game, I sort of felt like the series was probably over then, and it was.
Yeah, I know. It was an unfortunate turn, really. I mean, he had such a great season.
A great, marvelous season.
Yeah, marvelous season, great postseason. And I think if you were to choose one guy to be out on the mound at that point in the game, it's got to be him.
Yeah, and then when they needed him out on the mound at Game 5, they stuck with Harvey.
I know, right? It was interesting decisions.
It was interesting decisions. But on to more important stuff, a good week at Pitt.
Yeah, great weekend in Pittsburgh. We came out with a W over a quality team, which, Pittsburgh always seems to give us a hard time. We've played them 4 times in my 5 years here, and every time it seems to, go down to the very, very end. And they're such a tough football team, and to come out of there with a victory, really, really was satisfying.
Yeah, we mucked around a little bit at the very end, but up to that point, I mean, I'm not used to those comfortable fourth quarters. We had really put it together in that second half.
Yeah, and really, I think there were a few factors that came into play there. I think our team really showed up to start the football game, firing on all cylinders. And really, I know I mentioned this last week, but it was such an advantage, I think, for us to get out there on Thursday and to have some practice on Friday and to really kind of wake up early and be ready for the game. And it was a 12:00 kick, so it was so different for us. So really thank you, I guess, for getting that done. It's great to have the resources at Notre Dame to do something like that, but I just thought that was such an advantage for us, just to be wide awake when we started the game.
Yeah, I mean, how different was a noon start for you? I mean, the last one was 11, I know, 2011.
Yeah.
So.
I was going to say I was there at the last noontime start. It's and I know it sounds maybe a little crazy to to the listeners at home, but when you have a routine for a 3:30 or a 8 o'clock game when we're on the road. it's just so different to have your body be at top performance, 6 hours, 7 hours earlier, or even 3 hours earlier. So for us, we have to switch kind of everything we do, and even when we wake up in our hotel rooms, all the way up to the game, everything has to be a little bit faster, a little more heightened, and you can't kind of roll slowly towards game time. So it's a huge transition in how you just mentally prepare for the game, and I think that's what Coach Kelly and yourself and Chad, who we had on the show, did a great job of addressing that and getting us ready for the game.
Yeah, no, it was Coach talks every week about starting fast.
Oh yeah,
and
one of the four.
Yeah, one of the four. Yeah. Four elements of victory.
Yeah.
And we hadn't always done it this year, and it was nice to see that reflected in the game. The game was typical of the season in a lot of ways. A key contributor goes down relatively early. Oh. CJ gets dinged, and in comes the next man in and has a heck of a game.
Unbelievable, really. I mean, heck of a game. It's almost not even enough to talk about how well Josh Adams did, really in his first truly significant mainstay performance as a Notre Dame halfback. And I thought he ran incredibly hard. He did everything you want a featured back to do while he was being featured. And really, I just thought it was great for him to kind of show that we can count on him and that he was ready for his moment. And I think that's something that everybody tries to say. You need to be ready for your moment, but Josh for sure was ready, and he's been working hard all season, and really for his whole life for this. And so it was great for me to kind of watch and be able to share that with him after the game.
Yeah, and you've gotten to see it in 11 on 11, right? I mean, not a surprise to you that he could do that.
No. Josh, I knew Josh was going to be a heck of a football player. We were doing a scrimmage this last, I want to say it was during training camp, and they threw a little flare screen out to our defense's left side, and he made a couple guys miss, and I got there. He made me miss too, and then got another 6 yards and pulled a couple guys for a few yards, and I was like, wow, this kid's going to be a player. And that was his second or third day here. During not here but in camp, yeah. So it was really impressive.
Defense had to start without one of its key contributors at safety because of the targeting call from the previous week, but responded really effectively.
Yeah, and that penalty is so tricky. Really, if you get it in the second half of a game and they determine that it's malicious, you're going to miss the next half, which is it makes it really difficult on the football team. So lucky for us, we have a captain and a fifth-year senior in Matthias Farley who's ready at all times to come in and to make plays for us. And sure enough, he comes in there and what's the guy do? Ball hawks, gets an interception and saves.
Great interception.
So I mean, really, that's Matthias for you though. He's a guy that's always ready for his moment and to come in and help, and he only cares about the team, and it's great to have someone like that playing behind you. For me, it was almost soothing.
We had one guy, I thought maybe he had just gotten confused as to who had possession of the ball when he ran out on the field. But we had Torrey.
Oh, yeah, I know.
switch sides for a few plays in the game. So what's that been like?
Torrey, before he comes out there, he's just like, yo, like, you got to make sure you take care of me out there, man. Like, this is my first time in a long time doing this. I was like, don't worry, man. We'll make sure everything's good. We're gonna, you can run, just tackle the guy with the ball. It's gonna be simple. And sure enough, he was almost there on a sack. He covered his man perfectly, and he's such a unique talent, unique athlete. We had him on, I know we had him on the show, and we talked about how he plays baseball. But really, the guy can do just about anything he wants on the football field. He had a touchdown, played defense. He's an incredible athlete.
I thought one of the real keys to the game, after a week in which he was his only sort of shaky week of the year, was we kept flipping the field on punting. I thought that was a huge difference.
I know. Well, we knew it was going to be a heck of a day for Tyler when in pregame warmups he kept the ball in bounds. normally we end our pregame warm up with a punt, and the whole team covers it. So if anyone has watched, the whole team kind of spreads the field. And I swear, for the last 5-6 weeks, Tyler's kicked it like 10 yards out of bounds, like a 20-yard kick. It's been really bad, and so he kicks like a perfect, 50-yard, super high hanging kick. And I remember thinking to myself, today is going to be a good day. Like we're going to be okay on the special teams regard, and he did a great job. He always does.
Senior day.
Oh my gosh.
Be a little emotion flying around. I know Coach McGraw always says it's the toughest day to coach the year because you never know what you're going to get out of your players because of all the emotion that's sort of incumbent on that day. An emotional day for you, I'm sure.
Yeah. Really, it's almost hard to talk about because on the one hand, we're so focused on Wake Forest, and we know that they're such a quality opponent and they deserve our full attention. But then there's the other hand where you got your whole family's coming in and they're talking about this is the last time that we're gonna do this. The last time they're gonna tailgate for a game of yours at home, and the last time that we were able to go in and practice on a Thursday, or we did Wednesday in the stadium, and it's a lot of special memories coming to a close. So it's been really a special experience to spend the last 5 years here, and one last game in Notre Dame Stadium. Hopefully we can make it a great day for our fans and for all the seniors.
Well, I have no doubt we will. How do you sort of compartmentalize the two? How do you flip the switch, right? So you're ready to go rip somebody's head off a moment after you've had, what's going to be an emotional run out on the field?
That's a good question, and I think it comes down to just relying on your preparation. So once I think we're in the locker room for pregame and we're doing we're putting our pads on and we're getting taped up, I think the focus will be on what it needs to be on, and that's Wake Forest. But I'm thinking about the times maybe after the game, which will be especially emotional. And until that point, I think I'm just going to try to rely on the fact that I've been in the stadium so many times and kind of just go back to training and kind of try to block out the emotional side of the whole thing and play with just maybe a little bit extra enthusiasm.
Well, we're looking forward to a special day. I think the weather gods are going to smile on us.
I'm hoping.
You've had a great weather senior year, by the way.
I know, right? Somebody's been doing it. I think
it's been really good.
I think. Did someone say a prayer for us when the Pope was here? I was praying while we were watching him on the TV, but
weather's Father John's department.
I see.
He's got better connections than me. Well, let's get on to the guest portion of the show, and we'll be back in a minute.
Sounds good.